All right, welcome to episode 2 of the Card Brokers podcast. Last week we had on Z-Med. This week we have on arguably the leader of card Twitter, one of the biggest people on there, biggest seller, and absolute destroyer of glizzies, connoisseur, if you will, Ryan's Cards. So go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us about how you started, what your whole thing is for people that are unaware or outside the Twitter sphere, and just give us that little broad overview.
Started about, I've been collecting my whole life. My uncle gave me a bunch of like Yankees cards that he collected and passed down to me. And then 2019 came out and I heard about a dude named Wander Franco, and my Walmart was always loaded with that. So I always just ripped that, wanting to hit whatever this Wander guy auto was everyone was talking about. And then I realized like they actually had value, and I came from sneakers. I was always a sneaker flipper for a while, and then I realized this is just another way to make money while at FedEx where I worked. And it just took off from there. I met David, who kind of taught me everything I knew, got me started. Gave me a lot of his cards to help sell. We split the profits on that, and then it just kind of took off from there.
I do have a question for you. What is On Point? Are you referencing On Point cards?
On Point cards, yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that as far as where obviously now you're going to card shows a lot. So I know David was one of your early influences. So who's kind of guided you as far as getting into the higher end stuff? You went from stack selling $1, $2 cards, pick your card. So who got you into doing higher value, and was that hard to do? As far as, I know that's a big leap going from smaller value.
Not hard, but it's definitely scary because there's a lot more money and risk involved. Obviously you can lose thousands of dollars compared to you pretty much can't lose money on cards that are $1. But no, it was David for the first probably year of my Twitter career, and then Austin kind of pushed me to go higher end and focus more on that because there's obviously bigger margins, and people with money obviously control the market. So it's better to cater a lot towards the people like that are investors, because you'll make a lot more money that way. Obviously it's not all about money, but when you do this for a living, it tends to be more about money than collecting.
Right.
Yeah, I get, totally. Sorry, go ahead, TJ.
No, you're good. You go ahead.
So I was just going to ask you too, like, how did you kind of figure out your process? Because even when I'm doing stack sales, and you even saw me last night, I was doing stuff a little bit different. Like, you created, in my opinion, stack sales on Twitter. You made them popular. You're the one that kind of blew up everything. I came in when you had about 5,000 followers, and I was just watching your sales. I was watching how you did business, and like, you get a lot of judgment in the hobby. I think a lot of people don't really know who you are as a person completely, because you're one of the nicest dudes I've ever met outside of the hobby. How did you start creating just the engagement that you have, the conversation? Like, what was that idea about?
A lot of trial and error. When I first started, I was like really shitty at it. Every order had something messed up, and I would literally just go through, take pictures of every card, and just leave everything in like a big mess on the floor, and like try and sort it later. And then I'd get like 3 DMs a day saying I'm missing this card. And like, obviously I would still find the cards or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it's not a good look when someone's first purchase from you is messed up. And so like, it literally just took a bunch of refining over and over and over, trying to figure out what works best for me. And I finally figured it out, but it definitely takes a lot of trial and error. And that goes for anybody that's new, that's trying to get started. Just work at your own pace and keep as organized as humanly possible. I know the pictures I post of my setup doesn't really look anything organized, but it works for me. So just find what works best for you, and just make sure you do it at a pace you're comfortable with.
His house is actually clean. Like, it's not a complete wreck.
Hey, I heard you grew 10 inches over the year. How tall are you now? You are literally eye to eye to Ryan now. I was like, holy shit, Ryan. When I saw the picture of you guys, I was like, holy cow. Like, what happened?
I look up to this man now.
Yeah, I'm a little
on the Call of Duty maps, not on Call of Duty, but maybe in real life now, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think Ryan said you're 6 foot, a little bit over 6 foot. So
yeah, almost 6'1", like if you count a couple quarter inches or whatever.
Well, so I know this is another hot topic, and I know it's just a question for me. What is your favorite restaurant? Because you talk a lot about food, you talk a lot about different fast foods. Like, can you give us like 3 places where it's like, all right, I'm collecting cards, I'm fucking hungry, I'm gonna Uber Eats. Like, what is your 3 go-to main ones? Because I know you talk about it all the time, and I think the people want to know.
Do we have to like, or like local?
It doesn't have to be in order. It doesn't have to be in order.
But
But
I'm saying, like, it has to be like restaurants everybody knows, like chain restaurants.
No. Whatever you want. Whatever you want. Yeah. Your favorite one. So if we come to wherever you're at, or we go wherever, like your favorite.
PF Chang's is a staple. Chili's is pretty goated.
Oh my God.
Chili's is up there, and probably, I don't know, man. Chick-fil-A is pretty goated, but no, Cane's. It's got to be Cane's. I don't have a Cane's.
Represent.
I don't have a cane, so I can't. It's hard to say that, but like if I had a Cane's here, I'd probably eat it at least 3 times a week.
Now that place we went to, that was an insane experience yesterday.
Oh yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's a place called Diner Marietta, and it's like it's got everything from like Mexican to Italian to everything. It's just, and everything's good. So that's a little nugget. So what got you into the whole Glizzy thing? I know you play onto a lot of stuff. Like you do the whole, I hate Chase Bank, PayPal. I go to CVS, what y'all want. Like those little things that you can tweet and you get 20 replies.
Well, that's all true. I mean, I hate all of those things, but no, I don't know. It's just like something I always ate. I eat. It's easy to make. You throw them in the microwave for 60 seconds and you eat them. I mean, I don't know. And
no, sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
Like, I think there we go. It was like the first Dallas or whatever. We went to like Portillo's, I think it was. And like, someone made some comment, just kind of like caught on from there. And I mean, I don't do it just for Twitter. Like I genuinely enjoy eating food that I post.
Yeah, it's trash food. Like you get a lot of just like tweets all the time about you being trash, but at the same time, it's like that's the food that allows you to do what you do, work full time, work from your house, do your thing. What did you do beforehand? You said you touched on it a little bit. It was did you say UPS? FedEx. How long did you do that stuff for? Like what made you want to grind for yourself? And like, cause I just quit my job. I put in my 2 weeks this week, and I would have never put in my 2 weeks in if I didn't know you in the first place, just because I've seen your process. I know what you do. I know how important it is to the hobby. And I think you've changed the game realistically with your business. What like allowed you to jump out of that and that real job and start just going head first right into cards?
I had to make sure it worked and last. Biggest concern is the card's going to be here and as popular in 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I still don't know. Still a risk to me. I don't know if people still care about my sales 8 years from now or whatever, but it was making it work while I had a job and a stable income, and then feeling comfortable enough with what I was doing to actually pursue it full time. And excuse my dog, he's gonna bark a lot, but it's a big risk and it's very stressful. It was very stressful for a long time. I'd like talk my parents into it and like reassure them that everything was gonna be okay and whatnot. But just make sure if you're ever gonna do it, like you just fully think it all the way through and make sure, like if this doesn't work out in X amount of time, I have this set aside in case I need it or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And kind of go into, the market changing, because it was so easy to do it about a year ago. I mean, I remember we'd go to Dallas and we'd come away.
Literally anybody could just go to their local card show, spend $200 and come home with $1,500 worth of cards.
So how have you adjusted to that? I know the consignments got a little tougher, and
more about just what you buy now. You can't literally just go buy literally any card that's a good deal. Like even if something is a good deal, I may not buy it just because I know not many people want it or whatever. But it's all about just what you buy and knowing your buyers. I know like a lot of people that buy from me, like the kind of cards they look for, and I think that's a big part. I buy specifically for like what I know will sell and what people enjoy. Especially like right now with baseball coming up, I've really only been buying baseball. It doesn't even have to be like high-end ball knowledge. It could just literally be like $100 Don Russ, Ronald Acuna autos or whatever you buy for $80 or $90 and sell them for $100 or.
It's kind of funny you talk about that. I know the other day in the group chat when Raul was talking about his majestic Trey Young, and you were like, I've never once heard somebody go, I want a majestic Trey Young.
Like if you're gonna buy a card, like think, has anybody said, damn, I wish I had this card? Like if you don't think anybody's ever said that, you probably shouldn't buy it.
Yeah, that's a big point too, because I know, like you said, Austin's been one of your influences lately, and I know he was kind of like the big, I'm only buy like Optic, I only buy Prism, and I only buy First Bowman. and various other lines, but the ones that everybody knows. So is that something you've kind of shifted towards from where you
Yeah,
used to just
definitely.
buy huge groups?
Because like especially like when they with the overproduction of like Select and retail and all these other products, it's not really viable to buy Select, and everybody gets tired of it. Prism, I feel like everybody always stays hype on Prism no matter what. Everybody, it's all about hype. Everything's just a hype.
And that's why I even said, like, I started the hashtag buy cool cards, like right when I got in, because I realized that like everybody's kind of just buying the hype. And that's why Lucas were, and I said it last week, Lucas were 3K. Like base Lucas are 3K. Do you know how much those base Prism cards are now? Because you could just buy base cards
for $400.
See, and that's like, that shows you how far cards have come in the past year and a half. Do you think base cards are going to get back to that where it's like it sets you think it's always just going to be those numbered cards, the good parallels, team colors, stuff like that?
I think the base has to like set a premise for like what the colored and parallels go for, but I don't think like there'll ever be another market for base. Like everybody will like want just a PSA 10 for their shelf or whatever, but they're not going to go buy 40 of them to make money off of. At least I don't think so.
So when you go into and you get all the parallel stuff, like talk about, I know one of your big things is you don't mess with shimmers. I know you've tried to do it before, and you don't. So to kind of break down some of that, you're good with the Bowman parallels about what's good, what's not, the true colors. I know you get into that a lot. So kind of break down, just a little bit of that, what you look for and what you shouldn't look for when you're getting those, even if it is first Bowman.
Well, doesn't have to be like what you don't look for. I mean, people will still want greens. People like green. People like shimmer. Like it doesn't really matter. My dog is going crazy. He's really about to
Hey,
attack
show him. Hey,
he wants to go outside really bad. All right, we're gonna do this at the same time. No, but really, just if you deal with Bowman, you gotta understand baseball. Just like in the real game, like there's a bunch of unwritten rules. All these boomers and 60-year-old guys that don't like bat flips and shit. These guys don't like their greens, their shimmers and everything. You just got to kind of know who you're going to sell to. If you're buying high-end Volpe or Bobby Witt or whatever, the guys that are going to buy that, they're not going to want greens and shimmers, which, I mean, that's who controls the market. Like now, obviously, like there's a lot of people on Twitter, like I made a post, I didn't like green cards and they got up in arms about it, which is fine. Like if you're doing it just to collect, like, again, it's fine. It's not all about money, but again, when you're doing this for a living, it tends to be more about money. And I kind of hate making it sound that way, but that's kind of way I have to explain
myself. But the thing
myself.
is, you don't have to explain yourself in that way though, Ryan, because like everybody who knows you or interacts with you or buys from you or talks to you in the DMs, it's like when they treat you with respect, you treat with them respect. That's just how business works in general. So I think you run your stuff pretty clean. You run your, like, I respect your hustle because if people saw your DMs every single day, they would shit themselves. You know what I mean? Like your phone is a shit show. How have you adjusted to having so many people always contacting you and like always getting at you? Is it like, do you have employees? Do you plan on getting employees? Like what's your deal?
Just me, man. But it's like I only posted today, like my screen time is 19 hours a day. And it's not healthy. And like, I've been thinking about that more and more like the last week, like how pretty much unhealthy this is, like literally staring at my phone for, I would say at minimum 15 hours a day and just scrolling through Twitter and DMs and whatever else. But it's difficult. Like when I go finish this call and then get back on Twitter, I'll be so far behind. I've had to spend like 30-40 minutes catching up all the notifications and whatever, because like people tag me and stuff, which is perfectly fine. I don't care. People DM me about whatever, again, perfectly fine. It just takes a while when you get 10 DMs, you got to answer all of them, and then you answer all of them, and they all respond, and then you got to deal with the notifications and then go back to that. So like if I'm not on Twitter constantly, I get so far behind.
So what, talking about that and, interacting with people, I want to take it into this, direction. You made a lot of friends. I know me and you pretty good friends from cards. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like who you really became friends with? I know you and Austin, MKG,
I feel like,
spend a lot of time together.
Yeah, Austin's definitely, I go everywhere with him. If I'm at a show, he's probably there with me, same vice versa. But it's definitely value the relationships you build with people, especially like you, Drake, everybody in our group chat and everything. Like, I feel like that's helped make this whole process easier, especially having people behind you that you love and trust. Especially, this isn't easy. I mean, obviously, it's nothing like manual labor or anything hard, but like it's definitely not easy when you have to try and get someone to want to buy a product you're selling. So it just makes it a lot easier when you build relationships, and it turns into, I don't know how to explain it, but like outside of cards, like when I went to San Diego and I met up with Matt and Ryan and whoever else was out there, like I would
Justin
never
Roberto.
like, I would never be able to do that without cards. Like if you told me last year when I was working at FedEx, like, hey, you're going to go meet a whole shit ton of people that follow you on Twitter in a state 4,000 miles away, I would told you you're crazy. So it's pretty cool. Gives you a bunch of life experiences, and you can kind of like bounce ideas off other people and see what they think, how they think, and like where you stand versus everybody else. I don't want to say versus everybody else, but like where
It's like in the market though. It's like
yeah, like
it is against everybody else.
Ideas match up with everybody else's and whatnot.
Yeah, that brings a good point too. All right, so next one we want to talk about is obviously you got a lot of followers, and some of those are a little more prominent. You deal with Ben Baller, and you have direct contact with a lot of famous people or athletes and stuff. So kind of give us a rundown on that and how that's been. Like, is it surreal, and what do you take from that?
It really like makes you see like they're literally just like us. Like the first ever, I guess, like famous person, I guess you say, is Phil Hughes. I really pulled a Jason Dominguez green out of a retail pack that I bought, and I posted on Twitter, and he like commented, and I'm like, well, why does this guy have a check mark? And I look, I'm like, holy shit, it's Phil Hughes. And because like my family fan, so I texted my family, I'm like, oh my god, Phil Hughes is buying cards from me or whatever. And then like you get to talking to him more, and you realize they're really just like you and me, and they just like collecting cards or buying cards, or like even take like Carlos Rodon. He literally thinks Herbert's the GOAT, and he's buying all Herbert cards to invest in. I mean, like granted, we're probably on different levels as far as money. Obviously, he just got paid, so $3,500 Herbert card's not a huge risk for him like it is for you and I. But
yeah, it's like $35 in his mind. You know what I mean? It's like whatever.
Again, like they're still doing the same thing we are, and it's like it's really cool to see that larger than life people are still talk to us and like give us the time of day, and they're really just like you and I, just with more money. It's really cool to see.
Isn't it really weird too that the card industry, because you grew up going through like the COD industry, gaming, stuff like that, Twitch, all of those sort of things. How has that influenced your marketing on your Twitter? Because realistically, I've just copied the model of marketing that all the COD pros use, all the other people use. Is just like interacting and having a relationship with your followers, being that Twitch person that people can go to and ask questions. Like, are you going to get Twitch more involved? Do you plan on going video ever on anything? Like, what's your approach? What's your approach from here on out, basically?
I feel like all that ship is already sailed as much as I would like to. Like, I would love to have like a YouTube channel and stuff like that. But like, I already have enough on my plate just by myself, and I am too cheap to like pay some kid $100 to like help me out or whatever. So I just kind of don't do it. Like, that's why I do so much on Twitter, because like it's free and I can handle it by myself. That's why I do like all my mail day openings and my card show stuff, and everything I do is on Twitter. It's free for everybody, and I don't have to worry about trying to learn how to edit videos and put videos together and all that stuff. So like literally, I don't think I would ever change anything other than just keep using Twitter. And like there's methods to like how to like grow your page and stuff. Like again, I watch little competitive Call of Duty guys grow to 100,000 verified, and like some of the stuff they tweet, like I still tweet like when I do like Fave If You're Awake, like that came from Call of Duty.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The pros tweeted that at like 4 a.m.
Yep.
I mean, it's just cool and then you get to see who's up. Someone comments, you start interacting, and you have a conversation. You know. But like, I don't know. I just prefer how easy Twitter is to use and how good it is to interact. Like I don't use Instagram. I don't use any Facebook or anything. Like Twitter's just so you can scroll, you can interact with people right there on the spot. You can see like a whole thread like in order, like very easy to read. I feel like everybody ages probably 14 to 60 understands it and uses it, you know. So
do you do anything with card brokers, like in terms of drops, or do you do any drops? Do you rip wax very often? Like how often do you like invest in that? Is wax what's your take on wax, retail wax, stuff like that, just for the people who are listening?
I was the only one in my town for like 4 or 5 months clearing shelves. And I mean, obviously everybody was doing that when they could, because they saw how much money that was. And then obviously it's kind of changed now that everything's staying on shelves. Nothing really resells for much anymore. Again, it's not really all about money, but at the time, I mean, everybody wanted to get rich fast.
They were fighting in Target.
Yeah, exactly. And but no, it's fine. I don't really have obviously, like, as of the last week or two, I ripped that case of Bowman, and I kind of got an itch to rip more. So, but I'm in a better position to get killed on a $5,000 case, and still.
Is there better times? Is there better times to rip like certain boxes? Like, would you rip baseball right before baseball season, football? Like, you know what I mean? How would you approach that?
I would always just say rip it the day it comes out. Like, if you're gonna rip anything ever, I would just say rip it the day it comes out. After a week of it being out, nobody cares anymore. Just get it while everybody's looking for new cards and new players and whatever. Like, I don't understand. I guess, like, if you're on a budget, it's perfectly fine. But, like, I don't understand why people rip like playoff and I get absolute for the boom. Like, playoff, I never understood why people would want to rip that. You can't get anything good out of it. But, like, if you're gonna rip, make sure you can hit something good. Unless you really just want a $20 rip for base cards for your binder or whatever, which is perfectly fine.
Let's get it. Let's get
All
it.
right.
Are you done? Jesus Christmas.
He's making his voice heard. It's all good.
But yeah, I would always say just rip Bowman, rip better football products day of release, even though it's going to be super expensive. Everything that's worth ripping is going to be super expensive. So I feel for, like, especially like people with kids that, I mean, it sounds cliche, but like that really can't afford a $900 box of immaculate football or $1,000 box of a jumbo Bowman to rip, you know, and they just want to rip something. So that's why retail's there, but you're never really going to hit big in the stuff that's not expensive. So
I have one question. My last just regular question to you is who do you PC?
Cole Tucker and Pat Fryermuth.
Let's get it.
Nice. All right, well, let's end it there. I really appreciate you coming on with us. Obviously, with your following and everything is kind of big, and a lot of people don't know a lot about you. I mean, you tweet a lot, you give a lot away, but you know, the person hearing you talk isn't something that we're used to since the auctions ended. But yeah, so I appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to seeing you again, man.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Hey, thanks, brother.